When the invitation came, we had a caucus at our house. The caucus was about whether or not I should wear a uniform or not. Obviously, I lost in the vote. Having taken my loss in good grace, I went down to the repository where such things are held at our house, zipped open a bag, took out this uniform, and tried it on. Bag had been zipped up some years before by the ever-present Sergeant Norman, who ruled over the roost most of the time when I was looking the other way. I put it on and it fit. I hadn't had this uniform on in 23 years. Now, I'm not suggesting that there's anybody in here who couldn't do the same thing. Anyway, other than that, I owe enormous debts of gratitude to a whole lot of people, many of whom are in this room, most of whom are not, but the key players are here. I had an invitation not long ago. This is a cheer-up note. Things aren't all that bad out there. To speak at a rally conducted by the local recruiting establishment in our town for Memorial Day. So we went and we lined up a platform of 7 speakers, none to speak more than 5 minutes, and one from the Air Force, one from the Navy, one from the Coast Guard, and so forth, and I was to do the keynote thing. The organizers of that event had corralled the 5th and 6th grade students of about 4 or 5 high schools in that area, and they were present, and those of their families who could attend were also present. So they marched these kids in the back rows of about 1,000-person auditorium. They marched them in. The young folks sat down. I was standing there looking at them, trying to figure out what must have been going through my mind when I was their age. I failed in that because I had other interests at the time, I'm sure. But there they sat, moms and dads, aunts and uncles, brothers and cousins and whatnot, lined up in the front part of it. So I talked a bit, and we went down the row of the other 6 speakers, one of whom was a lady who had belonged to the, most of you are too young to remember this, but the Women's Auxiliary Army Air Corps or something to that effect in the great 1939 to 45 war. They ferried aircraft from their point of origin, where they were assembled, to the departure airfields. There they were taken over by male pilots who fought them in battle. Those gals delivered on time, all the time, without a serious accident for all those years of that need. The audience, after we all finished with our little spiels, gave us a standing ovation. The kids were arranged in groups, and they departed for classrooms, and then we rotated through those groups one time. All of us spent some time with each group. The organizers had prepared little 3-by-5s for the young people to ask the old folks some questions that they thought the young folks might be interested in. Some of them were, and some of them were not interested in those remarks on the cards, but nonetheless asked them, and so it was a great day for all of us. Afterwards, I went to see the recruiters. The 2 sergeants, first class, United States Army, were the senior recruiters in that area. They're smart, they're young, they're tuned in on the young people. They know their program well. They make no false promises. I looked at them and listened to them, and I remembered back to the days when Glenn Otis and I were trying to do sort of the same thing when he and I ran Fort Knox at initial entry training for armor soldiers. No comparison. These guys are heads and shoulders above us. So in the going out, I thanked the sergeants for what they had been doing. And I said, oh, by the way, I would really like to re-enlist. I would like to have you guys do it. So the senior person said, sir, maybe we have a couple of minutes to have a little caucus over here in the corner. And so they went away and talked, and I don't know what they said, but he came back and he said, sir, the caucus has agreed that you are probably overqualified. And we unfortunately, we do not have a job opening for a person with your background. So there's hope ahead for all of us, as long as it's in the hands of those young people. And I've spent a very profitable afternoon with a new Major General who is the commander of an initial entry training battalion. We didn't have those. If Glenn and I had had one of those, we'd have been up here in spades. But they know what they're doing. They're well organized, and they stage these occasions, I guess you'd call them, that I've just described. So take heart, friends. There are good days ahead, and I hope we all get a chance to participate in them. But thank you all for coming to this. Thank you all for this honor that you've paid me, and let's just press on. Thanks.